You know the number before you look. That's the strange part nobody talks about. Your thumb hovers over the banking app for just a second longer than it should, like some part of you already knows what's waiting on the other side. You open it, and there it is. 0. Not 0 after paying bills, not 0 because money's moving around, 0 because there's nothing there. You're 35 years old. You have a job. You have responsibilities. You have subscriptions you keep meaning to cancel. And you have no savings. You stare at the screen for a moment, then lock the phone and place it face down on the table. And then you do what most people do when they find themselves here. You don't tell anyone. Not your partner, not your friends, not even the people who know everything else about your life. Because something about this number feels different. It doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like a verdict, like life has already decided something about you. So, instead of talking about it, you stay quiet. You tell yourself you'll figure it out tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes another year. The truth is, you didn't get here because of one terrible decision. It was never one decision. It was dozens of completely reasonable ones. The year your car broke down, the month's work slowed down, the relationship that fell apart, the student loans, the rising rent, the unexpected expenses, the years that somehow moved faster than you thought possible. You didn't ruin your life. You just never got around to building the cushion you thought you'd build someday. And suddenly someday became 35. For a while you avoid thinking about it, until the moment comes, because it always comes. Maybe it's the medical bill you weren't expecting. Maybe it's a friend texting you photos of the house they just bought. Maybe it's someone casually asking about your retirement plans. Whatever it is, something cracks open. You realize you don't have a backup plan. You don't have a cushion. You don't even have a starting point. And for the first time, a different question appears. Not, how did I get here? But, what happens if I stay here? That question changes everything, because once you ask it honestly, you can't unhear it. But before shame convinces you that you're uniquely broken, you need to understand something. You're not alone. Far from it. Millions of people in their 30s have little or no retirement savings. Millions live paycheck to paycheck. Millions look successful from the outside while quietly carrying the same fear. The difference is that most people never talk about it, and silence makes common problems feel personal. So hear this clearly. You are not uniquely broken. You are commonly stuck. Those are very different things. One is a permanent condition, the other is a temporary situation. But that doesn't mean you should ignore reality, because reality matters. Time matters, more than almost anything else. If two people invest the same amount every month, but one starts 10 years earlier, the results can be dramatically different. That's the power of compound growth. And that's the part that hurts. Not because the math is cruel, because it's honest. The years between 25 and 35 are gone. You can't get them back. And knowing that creates a strange kind of paralysis. People think it's procrastination. It isn't. It's grief. You're mourning a version of your life that never happened. The version where you started early. The version where everything was already handled. The version where today's problem doesn't exist. But that person isn't coming. And the moment you accept that is the moment things begin to change. Because once you stop fighting the past, you can finally build the future. Here's what nobody tells you about starting at 35. You have something many 25-year-olds don't. A reason. A real one. You know what it feels like to wake up at 2 a.m. worrying about money. You know what it feels like to avoid opening the banking app. You know what it feels like to carry that silent weight. Pain creates clarity, and clarity creates action. So don't start with investing. Start with stability. Build a small emergency buffer, enough to stop every minor setback from becoming a crisis. Then automate everything. Not because you're lazy, because systems beat motivation. Motivation disappears, systems remain. Set up automatic transfers, automatic contributions, automatic progress. Make the decision once so you don't have to keep making it every month. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is movement, because movement changes the story. And here's the part most people never realize. Even starting at 35, the future is still far from written. Consistent contributions over decades can create life-changing results. Not overnight, not next month, but over time. The key isn't making one giant move. It's making 1,000 small ones in the right direction, again and again, year after year, even when life gets busy, even when motivation fades, even when progress feels invisible. Because the plan isn't the numbers. The plan is becoming the kind of person who keeps going. And that's where everything shifts. 35 with zero savings is not a life sentence. It's not proof you've failed. It's not evidence that you're incapable. It's simply a starting point, a difficult one, but still a starting point. There are people who transformed their futures after 35, after 40, after 50, not because they discovered a secret, because they finally stopped looking away. That's the real turning point, not the amount in the account, the willingness to face the amount in the account, the willingness to tell the truth, the willingness to begin. You are 35. You may still have decades ahead of you, decades for the math to work, decades for habits to compound, decades for today's small decisions to become tomorrow's security. But none of that starts with a perfect plan. It starts with a single decision. The decision to stop avoiding the number. The decision to stop putting the phone face down. The decision to stop letting silence make choices for you. Because the zero isn't who you are, it's where you were. It's the place you stood the day you finally decided to move. And someday, years from now, when the number is no longer zero, you'll look back and realize something important. The hardest part wasn't saving the money. The hardest part was looking at the truth long enough to change it. And the moment you did, everything else became possible.